Welcome back to Show Me What I've Been Missing, your pop culture podcast that says, hey, remember that thing? I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth Stanton, and with me is my other host.
Back, what's up? Whisk me. She said, whisk me.
Whisk me away to saying your name. What's your name?
Chris Mack. What's up, everybody?
And we're whisking you back in time to the early 2000s as we watch Sex and the City from start to finish. Yeah. I've seen it a bajillion times. Chris has seen it pretty much not at all.
Almost one
full time
Almost
through.
One full time.
We are genuinely
so
close to you finishing one full revolution of Sex and the City. One full turn of the sun around there. One full spin of the DVDs.
I'm almost there.
Yeah, we are on our episode 95. We're gonna hit 100 episodes in 5 episodes. That's crazy. That's very exciting. But it sadly won't directly coincide with the finale, which would be pretty cool if it did.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We did some other adventures along the way before we committed.
Before we figured it out. Yeah. So technically we can erase those episodes. Just be like, wait, this is the
I already numbered them. We can't.
I know. Would that be so shitty if we try to go back?
There's a reason
we never did those.
There's a reason I have all the logins for that shit.
Yes. Give it up for our technical team.
It's me.
I'm the technical team.
It's me. Hi, I'm the technical team.
Woo!
Oh, all right, good. We're off to a great start.
Always.
So, this is an interesting one. This is this one was simultaneously kind of very serious, but a lot of funny jokes happened.
Yeah, man. This is because it's this episode is so funny how a lot of the topics of this show are still things that we talk about today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially the big topic of this episode.
Focus with Carrie, yeah.
Yeah, man. That's that's still something that, especially now. I mean, and that's the thing too. You're seeing more of what's happening with her and Samantha and the rest of the girls more now than it was back then. Now, there are more women in their, I guess,
you can say late 30s.
Latter half of 30s that are wanting children still, but it's. I mean,
there's so many things affecting it. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of big things of it is the economy. Let's be honest.
Children in this economy. That's my first reaction.
It's almost stupid to do it. Honestly, it really is. Financially irresponsible to do it, almost. Especially if you live in Los Angeles.
Oh my God. I know. We'll get into it more, but the big debate is does Carrie want a kid or not? And I can't imagine. I don't have a boyfriend or whatever now, or a partner where we're thinking about that. And people are like, well, you can still have one if you want. I'm like, on this fucking salary? I don't think so. At least not here in this city.
No way, man. No way. Honestly, to be a single parent, you got to make 6 figures. If you ain't making 6 figures, stop it.
You're gonna be hurting.
6 figures or more, really. I would say a mid 6 figures. We're talking 200, 300.
Especially nowadays, it's in theory more manageable, but not really. But it feels like financially it might have been more manageable back in the day. I know it truly wasn't for most people, but compared to now,
shit,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the episode. Who do you want to start with?
I mean, does anybody else really have a story in this besides maybe Samantha
and Miranda do? But we could just start with Carrie if you want, because Charlotte's kind of dovetails with. Charlotte doesn't really have her own storyline per se.
Right?
She's tied into all this kid stuff. So.
Although she was super cute this episode.
I loved her in this episode.
She was super cute.
So funny.
So cute. Sorry. Did you want to start? Sorry, who do you want to start with?
I was gonna say, do you want to just start with Carrie and get into it, or do you want to start with Miranda or Samantha? This is the episode I mentioned a couple episodes back. Really making me question Miranda, as a person.
You know what? Let's get into her because that's really who I want to start with because I didn't like nothing she did this
I didn't
episode.
like anything she did.
She kind of came around at the very end, but it was like,
It's bad.
I don't know how authentic it was.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Anyway, let's get into it.
Well, and it also helps set up the other storylines that we'll discuss. So they're at brunch, and Miranda's like, "Oh, I had to leave early because I'm taking a long trip in the mountains with Steve." And they're like, "That's your honeymoon." Just say
first she was
honeymoon.
like, "I'm taking a long weekend." That's how she just classified. She didn't even say like, "I'm going out to do something cool." She was like, "I'm taking a long weekend," and then they had to ask a long weekend, and then she like reluctantly said, "Oh." She said, and she didn't even make it seem like it was a joint idea. She was like, Steve wants to go away for the weekend, and I guess I'm gonna go with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like that. It was like that.
Totally ties back to your point from the last episode where you're like, I don't think she wanted to get married or to him or to do any of this. Like, it's insane how bitchy she is about everything in this.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that she just, to me, I mean, here's the thing. I know that there's some people out there who just like aren't like, super romantic or whatever. But like, even the people who aren't like super romantic can get a little bit excited about going to have a few days off with their spouse that they supposedly love. You know what I mean? Like, if nothing else, you would think she would be excited about this to get away from the bank.
Yeah, because she's like, it's the honeymoon, or she finally confesses it's basically their honeymoon, and they're like, who's gonna watch Brady? And she's like, oh, we're taking him with us. And the girls are like, well, you need to have a proper honeymoon. Just leave the baby with Magda, and Magda already has the time off for herself because of how they originally planned it. And Charlotte's like, oh my god, I'll totally watch the baby, which Charlotte is so hyped. She's gonna kidnap that baby.
I mean, also too, like this. I also wanted to point out that the first person to volunteer was Charlotte, and not the baby's godmother, which is Carrie. But again,
Carrie does.
I still don't understand how she is the godmother.
But Carrie does, and everybody is shocked.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and
even Charlotte's like, oh, you're what?
Charlotte is full on. Carrie's like, well, yeah, it's just for a couple days. How hard can it be? And Charlotte is full on gesturing, like, I will be there now. Don't worry.
I mean, to be honest, that's how. I mean,
if I've got two people in front of me knowing these characters, and I have a baby to hand one of them, it's not gonna be to Carrie.
Because I mean, as far as what we have seen or what they have shown us, this is Carrie's first time like being alone with Brady.
A baby,
like, or just a baby in general, right? Like, she's held him a couple times. She's held other babies in the show, like from other friends that have had kids, but I don't think she's ever taken a baby on for like an extended period of time.
And like, I wouldn't, without being a parent, I think already myself, I wouldn't necessarily volunteer to do that. I have friends who have like toddlers, and I'm like, like, if you ever ask me to watch them, can it be like after they go to bed, so that I'm just there?
I love the honesty. I love it.
I'm not a kid person, but I just like getting routines right and all that kind of stuff sort of stresses me out. Like,
come ask me to babysit after they're like 4 and 5, like 4 and up. Before that, leave me alone. I ain't got it. I ain't got it. 4 and up, I got them.
And that's genuinely hard to do. Like, little babies up to about 4, it's hard work. Not that it's not hard work after the fact.
I mean, and to be honest, like, some men are very good with like babies and toddlers, but to be honest, most of us after 4 we're good. Before 4, that's all ladies' job. Like, we can't.
I know we need to socialize you guys better to be more comfortable with that. Frankly,
well, maybe, but like, I don't even know if we're honestly like, if we can be socialized. Like, we still might hurt her. We might be like some Lenny of Mice and Men. And
no, my God, Chris, Jesus, oh, my Lord, I'm not putting that in the tags. Normally, I tag for SEO various references we make to improve. Hopefully, you find us this way. Incidentally, like and subscribe. I'm not tagging that one. I'm gonna leave the Marvel and TikTok tag in there. but I'm
Like
not
and subscribe, like and subscribe for more analysis of men.
not tagging of mice and men. Christ on a bicycle.
Woo.
Anyway, so yes, Charlotte and Carrie agree to watch. Brady, I'll mention Samantha's comment after the fact because I like Samantha's discussion.
Yes.
Anyway, so Carrie has Brady the next day, bundled up to go out. She has enough. She has barely enough. Well, no, she doesn't. So she's going down the stairs in her high heels with the baby and like the little stroller. Insane.
Yeah.
What the hell?
This woman is always. How is she walking New York in high heels? Like, I know everybody sees this character as like fabulous because she could do that, but I'm also just thinking that's stupid. Why are you walking the streets of New York in heels all the time? That can't be comfortable. Her feet, like, I don't know if they've ever shown her feet. Maybe they haven't, but her feet should look like train wrecks. Like, it should look like somebody's ran over them. Like, she should have all kinds of bunions, splinters, like, like, there's no way you're walking on the streets of New York, Manhattan, nowhere.
In the reboot,
with just high heels on.
It's a plot point, but the reveal is that like it wasn't the high heels. She had something else wrong with like her calf or whatever, your Achilles tendon back there or whatever. So she does need surgery for it eventually, but and that's a whole plot point and stuff. But
her feet should be jacked up. They should look like her feet should look like mine after I've been in the Marines. That's what her feet should look like.
I've never seen your feet.
You don't want to. And I'll never show them to you.
Much appreciated.
There's some things that no people should see. All right.
That's fine.
I'm mad that ex-girlfriends have seen my shit. I'm mad about it. I'm like, why'd you look at my feet? How dare you?
But I do like this exchange. Charlotte calls her, and Charlotte is like unboxing like applesauce and cracker. Like she has like every kid snack you could want in front of her. It's so funny.
She's like the mom that's like in charge of the after school program. She had everything. Yeah, applesauce. She had like crackers. She had the little Lunchable thing. I was like, damn, I want to go to Charlotte's right now.
Shine. This is her time to shine.
Let me tell you something. If I was a kid, I'd want to be in Charlotte's. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, because there's no food at Carrie's. We know that.
Not baby food. There's food.
Certainly not baby food. I don't
Probably some old Chinese food.
I was gonna say, I think there's barely food at Carrie's.
Some old lo mein noodles in the fridge or some shit like that.
I ate out, like I did DoorDash like way too much last week.
Hey.
And I like 2 meals a day a couple times.
Yeah.
And I looked at that bank account and I was like,
so like, oh, that's what
never hashtag never again until something else goes wrong. But anyway,
right.
Carrie is gonna take Brady to Alexander's, and Charlotte's like, he's a baby guy, because he does not seem like he's a baby guy, right?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say in this regard because he's just an older gentleman.
He's just an older guy, yeah.
Yeah, but like from what I've seen, most older dudes that I know are great with kids.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to say just because like he doesn't talk about his kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I could maybe infer that from them thinking that to like because he doesn't like he clearly has a daughter. We find out. He never brings her up, but
But I love the exchange. And Charlotte's like, well, is it safe over there? And Carrie's like, no, it's a death trap. I'm just gonna put a pillow around the kid and hope for the best.
I love that I love that joke so much because I know on the other end, Charlotte's
like
she's literally imagined like the Chokey from Matilda being Alexander's house and she's freaking out on the other end.
There are probably a lot of sharp corners for a baby to walk
around. Sure, I mean he does work with like metal and shit like that, right? When he does art.
But he's not gonna let Brady in like the studio part of his apartment.
Right. That's what I mean. That's what I was also thinking too. I was like, he has two separate.
Yeah, I think he has enough sense, even if he wasn't a baby guy, to not let that happen. Yeah. But Carrie gets there, and of course she's like a fucking wreck. Because we forgot to say in the beginning of the episode, she was like, "Oh, we're getting closer," because he gave me his like a set of keys and the code to his like house alarm.
Right.
So she gets there and she doesn't remember the stupid code, of course. she bumps into the table, I think, and like knocks this
Yeah,
glass vase off, which of course the baby immediately goes for because that is a
right.
baby, and it's like all they do is
Yeah,
go for the most dangerous item available
of
to
course,
them.
of course. It's like it's. I swear to God, babies have the worst survival instincts on the planet. They immediately go for wall sockets, sharp things,
Yeah,
hot things. Like it's like they want to perish. It's like they want to. I swear to God,
it's
you
a
can't like
miracle any of
anything.
us are here.
It really like honestly, if it wasn't for parents, there would be no us. It would be if
Yeah.
there were nobody's if no adults were watching toddlers or
Game
babies in
over.
general, game over. Extinct. Extinct. It'd be nothing but animals on this planet.
So like the baby's crying, and so Alexander comes from the studio space next door. He gets the alarm code. And I love this too, where she's like, Brady knocked the vase over, and he's like, that's really pathetic, blaming the baby. Like, that's such a fucking solid joke. I know like they implied like he's like doesn't get humor or whatever, but like that's
No, that
really
was a
fucking
good that
funny.
was a good joke. That was a really good joke.
And he delivers it so perfectly.
Oh,
It's
he
so
really
good.
did.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
And
then
it's like
later,
because like it's also like it was like a good joke and also a very cute joke. Like a
so
watching
cute.
like couples have
Yeah.
that little witty banter. Like that was a very cute joke.
Yeah. So later, like they're playing with the baby. Like Alexander's got like paints out for him and is letting him finger paint and do all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And she asks if he's thought about kids, and he's like, "Oh, I had one many years ago, but I've also had a vasectomy, so the shop's closed on making babies."
Yeah.
And he asks her if she ever wanted kids, and she's like, "I might, but I haven't gotten around to it." He's like, "Well, how old are you?" And she's like, 38. Which I turned 37 this year, and it's definitely a concern. I also have a additional complication though of having gone through chemotherapy and stuff. It's
Yeah. Right.
the
That's
situation's a
yeah.
little
Yeah.
different,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
which I'll get into as we get into the whole. Really, the kind of the thrust of the episode is this conversation between Carrie and Charlotte
Yeah.
because they're watching Brady at the park, and Carrie tells Charlotte about oh, he says he doesn't want any more kids, and Charlotte's like, well, bye, it's over then. Carrie's like, well, I'm not so sure. And Charlotte's like, well, we've got the tick. Charlotte's whole point is you've got the ticking clock. If you want the family, you shouldn't stay with him because he doesn't want to have any further family. And his kid's already grown, so it's not like she's really gonna stepmom the kid or anything like that. And you need to have a conversation with him about this. And Carrie is like, I know all that, and but also she's like, I'm not sure if I'm actually a baby person. She's like, I've always gone after what I wanted, like the writing career, fancy
Yeah.
shoes. And she's like, wouldn't I have kind of tried for a baby at some point if I wanted one?
Right.
And Charlotte says, why give up a baby for a man you hardly know? And Carrie's like, well, why give up a man for a baby I don't know?
I mean, I I, I see both points.
I do. Yeah, that's
I
the
see
hardest
both
part.
points, but I also think that for a woman, especially a woman like Carrie, I think she would get way more fulfillment from being a mom than she thinks that she would.
Maybe.
I think she would.
Yeah. But I can see where she kind of is realizing she's not that into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of stuck almost in this similar thing. Again, I'm not dating anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but like my big dilemma is like, do I spend the money to try to like freeze eggs? And unfortunately, like I said, since I've gone through chemotherapy, at least this one doctor I've been to, I could possibly go to others. Again, don't really have the money for it, but her point was like, we can do this, but just kind of know there's not a lot of great research
Mm-hmm.
on women who have gone through chemotherapy, freeze eggs, unfreeze those eggs, and then try to use them
Mm-hmm.
as far as like
Nice.
viability concerns. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm not infertile or anything like that, but it's a
A
lot,
lot harder.
a lot harder. But
Uh,
like that was frankly when I was diagnosed, I was 33,
mm-hmm.
and the doctor, but I was also like stage 4, which is slightly different than for blood cancers because I had lymphoma than other cancers per se. But it was still like, we have to start now. And the doctor I have was like, normally I'm a young adult
Mm-hmm.
patient because I'm under 39. Thanks. That's so young, so youthful. Such a nice designation to have.
It's nice. It's nice little
But
pride there.
she was like, normally, when we find cancer in patients so young, we do try to offer fertility preservation because of the whole like unknown long-term impact on chemotherapy and eggs and stuff like that. But I was way too far along with cancer
Yeah.
to put it off to do hormone injections and egg harvesting, all that stuff. It was sort of like, we could have a lot worse outcome. Hooray, we saved my eggs, but I'm dead, basically. Like, could have been the outcome.
Right.
So it was like, whoa, I was like, whoa, yeah, definitely not banking the future on an imaginary future kid here. So let's pump some chemo in.
Yeah.
Then that's not Carrie's situation by any means, but
No.
like, and also definitely at this time, fertility preservation was starting to pick up steam, and wasn't uncommon, but not as sort of like widely pursued, I think, as it is now. Partially cost is still cost prohibitive. Like I said, I legit probably can't afford, unless I get a partner who does want like kids and stuff. Unless I get a moneyed up partner who wants to spend money with me on at least trying to snag some eggs. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Snag some eggs.
Well, and also people are like, well, you could still have like, if I stayed single, people would be like, well, you can still have a kid if you want to. I was like, I don't want to have a kid to just have one though.
Right. Yeah, that's just irresponsible.
And I think that's kind of Carrie's thing, is like, she's had some long-term boyfriends, but like we all know Big is probably not father material. Aiden, obviously, he has a kid when we saw him last.
He was, but even before that kid, he was definitely dad material.
Like, but he was 100% dad material.
Yeah, 100%.
But she didn't seem to want that with Aiden.
Well, I think that's a her problem. I don't think that's a him problem.
Oh, no. But that's the point, is like, Charlotte's very insistent. She's like, I think you're a baby person. Kind of like you were saying, like, I think you're a baby person. I think you'd get enjoyment out of being a mom. But she's like, I don't know.
But part of that is just because Carrie doesn't want any responsibility. Like, this woman she doesn't want responsibility. Like, I mean, honestly, look at the way that she like spends her money. Like, she wants to just buy a shoe. She doesn't want to like take her money and like actually have to like put it into somebody else. She wants to be able to just like, she's a kind of a, that's the thing. That's why I also think that it would be good for her that way, because she's kind of a selfish person. But I think a baby would bring that out of her.
Yes and no,
you know
but
I could bring that out.
But that babies do not fix things the way people want them to, and I think it's actually very wisely self-aware of Carrie to realize, I like doing my stupid shoe spending and stuff like that, and wouldn't necessarily like, to kind of know that about yourself is really huge. Like, that kind of she's not self-aware about a lot of things, but kind of knowing that she wouldn't want to give up that part of herself is a big deal, because that,
but do you think that a factor, do you think a factor of that, especially like speaking just like in real life, do you think an impact of that is the length of time? Like, if that, I'm gonna say wait too long, but like I guess if you wait too long, because like, some people have kids as soon as they're like in their early 20s or like mid 20s or like early 30s. But do you think if the longer you wait, the less desire, the more fearful, or what do you think? Like, do you think like the length of time changes things?
I think it's just honestly generally dependent on the person. I don't think it's a broad answer to that, because it's it's a broad answer for broads.
It's a fucking broad answer to it.
Yeah, but I don't think there's like a blanket answer, because I like kids, and I know, like, before I got to this age, I certainly thought about it, but not with any real sense of urgency. And even now, I'm like, you could argue like the big trip I've planned for myself and to Ireland and Scotland. Well, the money I'm spending on that, I could in theory actually put towards egg preservation, but I'm like, I don't want to. I want this trip for me, and
I think you've been through enough to get that. I think you deserve
it. A lot of people have very kindly said that. And I really appreciate it.
I think it's okay.
And yeah, and that's the hard part though, is like, it's these tough decisions that unfortunately like nature forces upon you
Yeah.
as a woman that it doesn't force upon guys. And that's what makes it so much harder.
Yeah.
And also I have to point, not to get too political, but there are several states now that are going after IVF because they disapprove of the fact that embryos get destroyed in the process. Like even if they don't implant, like if there's a pregnancy loss, even after they try to implant the embryo, like they consider that like an abortion, and it's
Oh.
ridiculous.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, you'd think like these gung ho baby nuts would be like, yeah, pump out as many babies as you
Well,
can with IVF, but they disapprove of it.
that's kind of what I was gonna go, or direction I was kind of gonna go as far as like how much it costs to harvest your eggs, right? Or to like freeze your eggs, right? Like you would
Yeah,
think a country that's saying like, oh, abortions are bad would like make the
make
cost
eggs.
of freezing your eggs like free or very cheap. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
talking like $2,000 or something like that instead of a 10,000 or more process.
it's because they don't actually care about the
Right.
kids.
Correct.
That's the answer to that
Correct.
question.
Correct.
um so yeah, I do kind of empathize with this tough situation Carrie's in, and as far as like, because she's been dating Alexander for 2 months now, and
Yeah.
which is she admits later on is not that long amount of time,
No.
but she is older, and that's
Yeah.
the
Because I was gonna
that
ask that because Charlotte says that she's like, at 38, you kind of don't have time to just like play around. If you
yeah.
do, if you are planning on having a family and stuff like that, and I just want to ask you though, as a
Mhm.
as a 37-year-old woman, just not even family shit. It's like as far as dating, like, do you find yourself being more direct with a person or like straight up front, like, look, if this ain't the real shit, then like let's not even play the game, or
I unfortunately haven't had that many dates to like kind of get to that point, but I think in
fair
my
enough.
head it's sort of like, I'm when I'm dating, I'm looking for. Sorry, was that an earthquake? I think my building shook for a second.
No, because mine definitely just shook.
Okay.
Did we get a little earthy? A little earthy
Yeah,
earth? A
let me
little
check
earthy
that.
earth? A little quakey quake?
A
A
little
little
check, a
quiggity,
little
little quiggity
earthquake
quake?
Twitter check.
A little quiggity quake? That's how
I
good
think it's
that's how good our podcast is.
earth shaking.
Earth shaking
Um,
podcast. Rumble podcast.
put in the Rebel Pack. It's time for Show Me What I've Been Missing.
The Rumble Pack. What they call this is the time period that we're in right now. That was definitely the thing. Rumble Packs
um,
were a thing.
sorry, back to the dating. I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
some of that in because that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Leave it.
Back to the dating question. But no, I will say what I'm dating, I am looking for long term. I'm
Right.
not like looking, like some people still are like totally looking for hookups, short term, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm like in my what I'm looking for. It's like, yeah, no, we're looking for quote unquote the one or the long term
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
long term feller.
Feller.
uh, it's like saying feller.
It's nice. You don't hear that often. It's nice.
Yeah. And I think Carrie's always kind of been looking for the long term, but it doesn't always seem like she's had like baby on the brink. Charlotte's obviously very different. Charlotte has
Oh,
wanted a baby
she's been wanting a
since
baby for like 4 seasons. So
the whole time we've
longer.
known
Yeah,
her.
really. Yeah, really. The whole series. Yeah, true. True enough. Yeah,
um
it's. I just because I just wonder that because it is unfortunate that Mother Nature has said that you guys have a short
mhm.
period of time to like reproduce, and we just can go as long as our shit works. Uh, However, but I do wonder that as you get older, like because I feel that way even as a guy too. It's like I'm
Mhm.
not like necessarily like out there like dating serially or nothing like that. But it's like if you want to, if you even at a certain age, it's like I don't know, maybe some guys out there want to be forever bachelors or whatever. But it's
Mhm.
like I ain't trying to be like 45, 50 years old still talking about I'm single. Like it's gonna be gross.
Yeah, like look at how everyone's reacting to Leonardo DiCaprio. like he was not dating that 19-year-old. He was just photographed next to her, but he was also had his eyes on a 23-year-old, a 25-year-old, and he's almost 50. And I appreciate the kind of societal everyone going like, that's not as kind of cool and exciting as we like used to think it is. And actually, speaking of fatherhood, because the model he was photographed next to was 19 and he's like 48. People then put that side by side with Pedro Pascal from The Last of Us and Bella Ramsey.
Which is absurd.
And they have basically the same age difference, but he's essentially playing their father on the show. Like, right. And that's what that's just like put that age gap in perspective. Those two dudes are about the same age. One is literally playing the dad.
Here's my thing. It's just at this point, it's like, it's not even fuck the age gap thing or whatever. It's just like, what are you doing at this point? Like even Clooney got it together and got married. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like the bachelor of all bachelors. Like,
right.
Opinions aside about the age gap or whatever, put that aside. You're 50, bro. Like, what are you really doing? Like, it's time for you to figure it out. Like, I'm not saying you got to get married, but it's like, pick one of these fucking 25-year-olds and stop. You know what I mean? Like, you got to stop at some point because it's not even like creepy anymore. It's just pathetic, honestly. It's like we get it. That's your thing. That's what you do. But it's like, it's kind of sad now.
Yeah, like I feel like no one's like, like look at that lifelong bachelor, look at him go. Everyone's like, oh no, creepy Leo's showing up on the playground again.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying, because Clooney was the bachelor of all bachelors. Like everybody was like, oh shit, he's gonna do this for life. But like, you know what I mean? And like, hell, even Hugh Hefner got married. What the fuck you talking about?
A few times.
Like, come on, bro. Like it may didn't work out, you know what I'm saying? But like still. He still was like, hey, I can't be this guy forever. You know what I mean? Like at some point you gotta just move on.
Yeah.
You know?
So Carrie gets a call from Miranda, and we'll get to Miranda's bitching in a minute, but she says should, and that a bunch of times in the conversation. Carrie gets to pondering like the whole should. Are we shoulding all over?
I like that little pun now.
But I agree with the pondering it's so much of it, it's societal, it's self-made. This like, you should have this by this time, you should have a partner, a baby, a house, a whatever. Right. And we've said this before, but like we're slowly finally getting away, I think, from the should nature of it. I actually I read the book. I didn't love it because I didn't empathize with all these rich people. But there's a book that's also an FX series now called Fleischman is in Trouble. Okay. And it's sort of told from the POV of this husband, and he and the wife the wife kind of disappears one day. It's leaving him in charge of the kids, and they're like heading down the divorce path. But you think it's like the guy's point of view, but it's a Trojan horse thing into the overworked, pulled in too many directions mom, but they're also like filthy rich. And there was an article in The Cut about this sort of echelon of New York type woman who was who identified with the show, but like my empathy stopped when they were like, I'm only making $300,000 a year, and I don't want to live in the suburbs with the pod people, but I'm not getting my kid into the fancy preschool either, and all I want is like a bathtub and the renovation I'm doing and I'm like, okay. Like they're like, when is it? The question kept coming up in both the show and the book, and this article is like, when is it enough? And I'm like, whenever you fucking say it is. This is all self-made torture that you're doing to yourself about like, right. If you think the 300K is not going to cover you, kick some my way. I'll take care of some shit I need to take care of. Like, insane. But just this arbitrary timeline of like, oh, by the people get hung up on like, oh, my parents did this by this time. have you seen the price of eggs? We aren't doing shit, you guys.
Right. And that's what I mean too. Like it's that's another thing. Is like, yes, you can say a lot of shoulds, but in this world that we're living in right now, should is kind of irrelevant
Yeah.
to what we can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, there. Trust me, there are a bunch of people out there who want to get married, want to have start a family and things of that nature. But if you're doing it the responsible way, you don't do it because
Yeah.
it's not the time to be responsible. But if you're, and like I don't know anybody in their 20s except for some YouTube or some TikTok, you know, exposers that are making enough money to get married and have a kid right now. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know anybody in their 20s that's making close to or at least six figures, because that's what you got to be making to have a kid now. Period. You know what
And
I'm
they're
saying? And that's a
just
dual income too.
and they just released, there is a study, and I think it said 50%. Oh, I can't remember the percentage. It's a high
Mm.
percentage though of people making six figures are living paycheck to paycheck.
You're right.
And you
And
would
that's what I'm saying. That's not even really enough. Yeah, because
so it's not even enough anymore. You would
yeah,
think six figures would get you
right.
covered. It does not. It's
Yeah.
insane, and that's insane.
So that's what I'm saying. Like the whole should argument is like, I get what you're coming from, because like,
Oh, totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like we should take, I think us as a society, we should be taking life a little bit more seriously, like moving on and figuring out the things that we do want in life. However, we can think about it or know the things that we want. However, can we get them is also a factor into that. So it's like
Yeah.
should and could have to coincide together, especially in the world that we're living in right now.
And also, like, it's totally fine to not want the things you are told you should want. If you don't want kids, if you don't want the house, if you don't want this type of career, that's fine, and that should be more acceptable than it is. Like, I think it's amazing with like in a Carrie scenario, like kind of recognizing maybe I wouldn't be the best parent, and knowing like, maybe I won't have kids then.
Well, I tell you what, I think a lot of people would probably change their mind if we had the economy of the 90s. Okay,
Oh my god, yeah,
if we
probably.
had the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we don't have different views on like
This whole
family
podcast
and
would be so different if we were
oh,
in
you
the
know what I'm saying?
90s.
Like real shit. We probably have two kids right now trying to do this podcast. Look around.
You're like,
Yeah, mommy, daddy's working.
we're working. Yeah, if we hadn't had a pandemic and an economic
Right, man.
slowdown / possible recession
I mean, even
looming,
before that, we were still just barely coming out of a recession that we had from years prior.
2008, yeah, and
Yeah,
we're looming on that because the housing prices blew out. I'm no
yeah,
economist, but I feel like things are not great. And everything's ticking by. Oh, and the other thing I want to say though about time though is, just even if you have a partner
yeah.
and you're a woman, some guys run out the clock because they don't admit that they don't want kids, and so they run out the
Right.
biological clock. And so that's no kind of guarantee either, like
That's
just
true.
having a partner. I've read a lot of like,
That's
you
fucked up
know
too.
you talk about having kids and the guy says, oh yeah, sure, and then it's like, well, can we try from now? No, no, and then boom, it's almost too late, and
Right.
the childbearing years are wasted on someone who, maybe he did genuinely love her, but like he also didn't at the end of the day, because he didn't have the balls to say, you know what, I don't, you want to be a parent, I don't, let's not be
Yeah.
together. Like, and that's
Yeah.
that's an understandable and genuine deal breaker that
Yeah.
should be respected. Like, fellas, if you don't want that baby, do not get with a woman who wants the baby,
But
and
see,
vice versa.
there's also on the reverse side, because I was definitely in a relationship where I told the person straight up, like at that time, I was like, I don't want kids. I'm
Yeah.
really not looking forward to this. I don't see that in my future. And they still decided to stay with me. And like we broke up like a couple times during the relationship because of that. And I kept telling them, like, I'm not changing my mind. And they decided to still stay together. And then we ultimately broke up because they wanted the kids. And I was like, I told you this from the jump. Like, this is kind of on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Despite what you might think, you will probably never convince the other person to change their stance on kids, whatever it may be. If they want them, they want them. If they
But
don't, they don't. Usually, there's some wiggle
I
room, but there's not a lot.
yeah, I also do believe too that a person can change their mind depending on who they're with, because I can
Yes.
I can always say that I don't want kids, but then I can meet somebody that makes me want to have those
Sure.
children. Like I want to like enjoy that experience with them. So it can change, but you know.
But you could also find someone that you love just as much and want to be with and still not want kids.
Right. That's also true. That's also
Yeah.
true.
So Carrie ponders all that, and then later she's back with Alexander. It's just the two of them this time, and she finally asks. We forgot to mention at the end of the conversation. Charlotte's like, "Oh, well, like, did he have a boy or girl?" Like, and Carrie's like, "I didn't ask about the kid." She's like, "Don't you think if I was a baby person, I might have asked a few more questions about the kid?"
I she's not wrong about that. She didn't
Yeah,
ask at
this is
all.
like probably Carrie's like most self-aware episode.
It's like, gotta give credit where it's due because she definitely did. I mean, I know because this was put Charlotte in that. So what kind of is it, little boy, little girl?
Oh
Like what's she
yeah.
like? Show me pictures. I
Tell
want
me every birthday,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
knee scrape, every school play, everything.
right.
So Alexander has a daughter, Chloe, who's 22 and lives in Paris with, as does her mom. And he was married to the mom, but only for about 7 years. And he's showing Carrie photos, and she notes like, "Oh, the mom looks so young," and he's like, "Well, I was young then too." And Carrie's like, "Why only one kid?" And he's like, "I like my life the way it is, and I got lucky with Chloe." And I wrote down probably because mom's doing all the childcare. Let's be real here.
Maybe, yeah,
He
maybe as
seems excited and involved-ish, but this is what he's presenting to Carrie. The reality of raising kids is like it takes two people.
yeah.
There's more to it, and moms get
I
saddled
was
with
yeah. I was gonna think
the
about. I was
bulk of the
thinking about
work.
that too because I was like, because he's from what they've shown about Alexander, he seems like such a great guy. So like the idea that he was
Mm-hmm.
like married and then got divorced, is like shit, what happened?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he seemed like such a romantic, like understanding and nourishing kind of man, but maybe that happened after. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but you
Maybe
know
that.
what? Poetry doesn't change diapers, Alexander. So get in there.
Yeah, yeah,
You can
yeah.
read me all the pushkin you want.
That's
You
a
go
great
wipe
point.
that little butt and heat up the bottle.
Ugh, baby poop is the worst.
Baby
It's
poop is
so
the
gross.
worst.
It's so
So
gross.
gross.
It's the grossest poop of all time.
It's so wrong.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's part of it, but yeah, because
Yeah.
I was thinking that too, because like he seems like such a nurturing like dude that you would think that any relationship with him is like it has to last,
Or
but
he's doing what a lot of dads do, which I guess is a whole larger societal thing, but it's like he's there for the fun stuff, but anything harder, he's not there.
well, I mean, I imagine too him being like a well-known artist, he's probably traveling a lot,
Yeah.
opening exhibits and things of that nature. So that probably played a factor into that kind of stuff. A while. I mean, I'm sure he missed a lot of his daughter's
Yeah, and that
childhood.
like that's hard. I don't know. I feel like actors in Hollywood don't talk about it as much, or they definitely talk about like being away and missing their
Mm,
kids and family and stuff like that. Um, but I gotta imagine that's like a more common issue that
mm,
they don't really talk about because it's obviously not as intense. Your parent is
mm.
fine, but it's borderline having like a military parent who's not there all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously very different. Your parents in a Marvel movie, you're fine.
Right, right.
Pretty low stakes in the long run.
Well,
But
yes,
but
but I mean,
regardless, the absence
yeah, absence
impacts.
is there. Yeah,
Absence is
they're
hard.
taken care of financially, but you still need your parents' presence in your
Yeah,
life. So,
yeah. So she's Carrie is later having drinks with Samantha and is like, I was looking at a whole life that I can't have with him because he doesn't want that. Basically, he doesn't want that life anymore.
hmm
He's done parenting, especially because his kid is grown. She's an adult.
hmm
Um, or at least the harder parts of parenting. You're still a parent,
right,
but you know what I mean.
yeah,
Um, and she's like, kind of wonders, well, why me then? And why would I find this guy if I can't have that life? And Samantha's like, there's a lot of other things in life that are enjoyable, that make up life that aren't just having a baby. Sex, love, travel, adventure. And Carrie's the one who lists off all those things. And Samantha's like, so you could still have a great, life with this guy if you wanted to. It just
yeah,
wouldn't necessarily have a baby in it.
right,
And Carrie's like, that's, I kind of putting this impossible question on him of, will you love me enough to make up for the fact that I didn't have a baby? AKA, is this relationship going to be enough?
mm,
And Samantha kind of scoffs, and Carrie's like, yes, it has only been 2 months, but she's like, so it's what I said earlier. It's too early in the relationship to have the conversation, but too late
right.
in her life to wait. as
Yeah,
they call it, the Catch-38, obviously a
it's
Catch-22 reference.
right. Well, I mean, it's kind of, but it's like, unfortunately, yeah, it is too early in a relationship. But I mean, it's also the things that you do got to talk about
Yeah.
because, you know, if it's a possibility, if you're gonna change your mind, these are the things that y'all got to talk about, and or if or if you've decided 100% that it's not what you want, you got to tell him because maybe he decides that, hey, actually, I do want to have another kid, and now
Mhm.
she's like, you know what I mean? So you just never, you gotta. It's like, it's weird because I'm also of the belief it's like at a certain age, especially if you're like dating in your 30s, talks like this shouldn't scare the person away because
No.
you're not saying that like I expect these things. It's like or from you necessarily. Like I don't like when I say like if you talk to somebody it's like, hey, I want to get married. Like it's not saying I want to marry you. Just know that
Mhm.
if we're doing this, that's what the end goal is. And if you're
Yeah.
not down with that, you can leave or you can stay if you are. You know what I mean? So, but we shouldn't. That's what I'm saying. Like at 30, we shouldn't be in our 30s. We shouldn't be having. It should be awkward to have that conversation because,
Yeah.
like, what are we doing at this point? Like in the 20s, sure.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Early teens, sure.
Oh, obviously. I mean,
But I'm
definitely
sorry,
not 18.
like if you're 30, 35 plus, like this
Yeah.
shouldn't be awkward. It should be like, what are we doing? Because why are we waiting? Like our life, like literally at this point, especially with the world that we're living in, life is short. Like I can be
Mhm.
gone in about 20, 30 years if I'm lucky. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So am I gonna be spending it with you or do I need to go find somebody else I need to spend it with? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
this shit, we can't just keep playing the game, like doing this shit for fun. The fun part of dating is over. That shit is done. You know what I
Because
mean?
yeah, she's like 2 months in, feels so early, but in a way, it's not.
It's not.
It's
It's
it's not like
really
she has
not.
to. It's not like she brought any of this up, when they were at the museum checking out the
Right.
exhibit at 3 a.m.
Right.
That was
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a first date.
Obviously,
Like,
first date, don't
of
bring that
course,
shit up. Get to know somebody, see if you actually like them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Then if you actually feel yourself liking them, then y'all have this conversation. But if before then, obviously not.
But
You know what I
yeah, but
mean?
now he's given her keys. He's giving her the
Right.
code.
Right.
She's getting into his life more, and he's
Right.
getting into her life more.
It's
And
a
as you
conversation.
said,
Yeah.
they're old enough,
Let me tell you something.
both
If
of
I'm giving
them.
you my keys, you damn sure better not get weird about me talking about a future, motherfucker. Like you can
You
come
just
into
give
my
it.
house at any time you want to. No, we having this conversation.
Yeah.
Fuck you saying.
So the episode concludes with them kind of walking along I think a pier or something like that, and he's like, "You're
Yeah.
kind of quiet." She's like, "So is the vasectomy like permanent?" He's like, "I'm not gonna be reversing it." And she's like, "I know this." But she does do what we talked about, the mature thing to do, which she's like, "I know this is early, but I think I could really be with you, and um, I want to see if that's sort of something you're thinking, but I want you to know I am 38." And he's like, "38's young." And
You know,
he's
yeah.
he's like, he's like, "All right, we're at this point so soon." He's like, "But I could really be with you too." He's like, "But I know who I am, and I'm not gonna kind of change my mind. I'm too old for that, haha."
Whew, this was triggering because I've definitely had this conversation with somebody.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. We'll get to that. But he does say to her, he's like, "Being a parent is extraordinary, and if it's something you want, I don't want you to miss that because of me, because you
Mm-hmm.
should have everything you want." And so
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't really answer that. They just kind of hug and cuddle up together, and she admits in the voiceover, she's like, "I still don't know what I want, but I feel closer to an answer." So I think we kind of, I think, know the answer is that she's going to not choose to have, or choose to not have children, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. So that whole dialogue between them is
Yeah.
triggering because like I literally said the same thing to her next. I was like, "Look, I don't know. I can tell you right now, I don't want to have kids, but if that's something that you know that you want to have, that we shouldn't do
Oh,
this." And she still was like,
that's
"Let's do it."
hard.
And I was like, "Oh no, all right."
Yikes.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
listen,
hard. That's hard.
that's
Because
real shit.
it's hard, I think, too, because in a way you're like, well, I like slash love this person so much, and I think they feel the same. So surely they will give me the one thing I really want. But that's not
No,
how it works.
no, because that's also because it's like it's not just giving you what you want. It's more complicated than that. It's more
Yeah.
complex than that, and it's more responsibility in that because at the end of the day, too. if it ultimately there's a person, if we have a child together, there's a another person
Yeah.
involved, and if things don't work out between you and I, we still have to make sure that this little person that we made is taken
Hmm.
care of. And I've seen some situations where people are petty and messed up and jacked up, and I just, and I know I can tell you what, if it was me and my ex, if we had that kid, it would be one of those situations. I know
Yeah.
for sure she's built that way.
Yeah, and that's rough, and
Shouts
that's
out to
rough
you.
on the kid,
Rough
and
on the
that's not
kid.
fair to the kid
Not fair.
at all. Like that's you
And it wouldn't be
can't.
fair to somebody too, especially if you like, all right, well, I don't really want this, but I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's definitely not like, that's not how you want to go into parenthood. I don't think. You know what I mean? Maybe
No.
getting
Yeah.
getting married, maybe.
Well,
But
speaking A plus segue again. We're crushing these segues. Now
Woo!
let's fucking talk about Miranda.
Oh boy.
Fucking Miranda is out of control this episode. So as we
Listen,
mentioned, she's going on the honeymoon with Steve.
reluctantly.
Reluctantly. You think she's being held at fucking gunpoint for
I
this
mean,
honeymoon.
in her mind, she is. In her mind, she's like, I don't even know why we're doing this. I don't even know why he wants to do this. I'd rather be at home going through my
Yeah.
files. This is bullshit.
Watching TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And as a TV lover, I get it. But even I can unplug sometimes, and I love TV.
Yeah.
I got
I
called
feel you.
Mike TV by my aunt and uncle because of fucking Willy Wonka. Okay? I get it. I like TV. I know.
Mike TV, man.
I was kind of pissed, but I
Hey.
was like, all right, fine. I was like, first of all, obviously I'm Charlie. But second of all,
Feel your mic. So you guys
but I
act
was
like
like,
that.
fine, if I had to be one of the Sinner children, I'll be Mike. Because I know
Hey,
I'm
Mike.
not a Veruca,
Mike got to be on TV twice.
right?
He's the only kid that did that. So you know what?
I
If you're
also
gonna be
have been on
somebody,
TV, but I did not get shrunk. If anything, I got larger.
that's
Nailed it.
solid. I couldn't even laugh at it because it was so good. I was like, I just had to appreciate it, let it simmer in my mouth.
On your
Pause.
palate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, Miranda and Steve are on their honeymoon, like up in upstate New York in the
Mm.
mountains. And they're having sex, and I wrote, I hope they're wearing a fucking condom so that would make a second kid.
Right. I mean, listen, yeah, because one ball Steve can get it done.
Yeah. He's still got some strong ones. Because also,
He
yeah,
still got it.
when Miranda was, Charlotte was like, oh, I'll take the baby, he's so cute. She's like, cute wears off. Like, after a few days, so think hard about if you want to. Like, I was like, do you
Ain't
even
wrong.
like Steve? Do you even like this baby? What is wrong with you?
Well, I think she was more warned because, like, she's getting more motherly
She
now. Like, she's
is,
getting more motherly
yes.
now. I think she was just kind of warned. I think that comment was
That was
really
for Carrie.
for Carrie. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like she said, cute. And, Charlotte's like, I don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she wants the baby in her
Charlotte
life.
wants to be elbow deep in that baby poop. She
Right.
does not
Yeah.
care.
She don't
Yeah.
care. She don't care. So, but she's not wrong either. Because, like,
Yeah.
I definitely, because, like, listen, not all kids are made the same. And some
Yeah.
of them are bad as hell. And, like, after about an hour, you're like, I'll fight this kid, like, straight up. Like, 4 years old, he can catch the hands because y'all need to change. Y'all need to tame this
Train
animal.
this
Okay, this is not
animal.
this is not a baby. This is an animal, and you need to have him neutered immediately.
So they're post-coital and they're cuddling, and Miranda's like, oh, well, now what? He's like, well, we just relax and hang out. We don't get to do that often. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And she's like, why don't I get out of bed and unpack? And she opens like a cupboard and there's like no TV or radio, but she finds a CD player with the like fake Native American music, like with the like flute playing. It's so stupid.
I laughed at that because I was like, oh, this is totally Steve's like playing
Yeah.
it. Like, he 100% playing this for sure.
Yeah, this is all Steve's doing. And so she goes to unpack and realizes she doesn't have her cell phone charger, which, I mean, she's horrified. Look,
I'm
I would be too
surprised,
in this day
honestly,
and
that she
age.
forgot that. I'm surprised she forgot that. I mean, as somebody like her, you would think that'd be number one.
I'm the fucking cord queen. I'm never without a cord almost on a trip.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, you need a cord? I got you. I'm cord queen.
Well, honestly,
Trademark.
kudos to whatever phone that she has, because I'm surprised that phone even has service. Like out where they are, because like we're talking early 2000s, cell phone service wasn't as far spread as it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
now. So like the fact that she could receive or make calls with that cell phone, especially with it being like half dead too, shit,
Yeah.
that's a good ass phone.
But Steve's like, well, just relax. It's just the two of us. She looks like fucking horrified.
Just us.
Yeah, she's like,
You and me, nothing else.
yeah, like, oh, the man I married.
But seriously though, seriously.
Because then they get to like they're in the tub and it's like very romantic, and he wants to get more romantic by washing her hair, which I was like, I don't know. But that said, I do love getting like a head massage. So like if so if my feller was like, can I wash your hair? I'd be like, no, but you can massage it like I'm a fucking giant cat and I will love you forever.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, you want to wash my hair, like, because even when she said I already did it, I was like, yeah, I feel you right there. Like,
yeah, I'd be like, I also be like, I already washed my hair.
Yeah, why wash it? Yeah, like I don't want you wash it, because like I mean, look, it was already a romantic enough getaway. He was like trying to make it like even more corny. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
he's overdoing it a little bit. You can't hate him because he wants this so bad.
Trying.
Like,
he's trying. I get it. And I'm not gonna disrespect him for the man for trying. However, it was, even for me as a closeted romantic, I was like, all right, you doing too much, my guy. Like this is straight out of a motherfucking novel. Like, stop.
Well, he says he's like, it's like in Out of Africa, which I think is Meryl Streep, Robert Redford.
Yeah.
I've never seen it or read the book. I know people liked it, but it doesn't quite have the long-term cultural cachet because I just never got around to it. But
yeah, not too many Out of Africa references going around these days.
No, they don't typically come up. I can say they do.
Yeah.
Of course she gets soap in her eyes, so she's like a lunatic about that. And then so Miranda is moping at the cabin. But that I forgot, we have one other Charlotte moment, which is her and Harry are having sex, and the Brady wakes up and like sees them and is like making noise and laughing and stuff like that, and Charlotte's like, no, it's scarred for life. He saw us having sex. Oh my god, like she's losing her mind.
I mean, literally, even if he could recognize what was actually, I mean, you don't really see nothing. Like, she's pretty covered up.
Yeah,
like,
she's mostly
Harry's got her pretty wrapped up. Like,
she's
and like the bottom parts of both of them are like pretty covered up. I mean, honestly, it looked like they were just having a naked hug. Yeah,
hugging.
A naked hug. Yeah.
But she calls Miranda in a panic, and Harry's like teasing her. He's like, he just said sex is weird and bad, and
that was like it was like that joke, and then the joke that Alexander made was like the two like couple cuteness kind of jokes.
Solid, dude. Like, oh yeah, like this is like it's
crushed it. Yeah, crushed it. He crushed it. He's like, yeah, sex is weird and bad. Like, poor Charlotte, because she's freaking out, but you know that she died inside when he said that. Even though she knew part of him was joking, still she was just like, "Oh no!" But what?
He's like, "No, what if he did?" So Miranda's like, "Should I come home?" And Charlotte's like, "No," and kind of hangs up abruptly. And Miranda like wails when the phone dies and wakes Steve up. And
she's like, trying to get up out of there. She was like looking for any excuse to try to come home.
Any excuse. Yeah. Because he's like, well, hey, come back to bed. And she's like, I can't have this much sex and time with you.
To be fair,
sex.
Yeah, I mean, she was saying, I mean, they were there for 4 days. The first 3 days, they were having sex twice a day. I mean, I imagine there's probably some chafing going on.
Yeah. I mean, he's sleeping half the time, so how does that tell you?
I mean,
man's worn out.
I don't even, I mean, for a guy to have only one testicle, he's very virile, because if he's having sex that, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus, man, like, I can't even have that much sex in a 4-day weekend. Like, I'm talking like a once a day type of, you know what I mean? Twice a day.
And he's not even popping pills. This is all natural.
Jesus. Show me your workout regimen and diet, because I don't know how you got this kind of stamina, my guy.
Plays a lot of basketball. I don't know if that's a secret.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
So, you know, Miranda like snaps and flips out on him, and she's like, I'm just not the honeymoon type. Do you hate me? He's like, well, no, but it's my honeymoon too. And I like quiet sometimes. And she's like, 4 days is so long. He's like, it's literally not that long, but it's only this long because this is all I can get off from work. Poor Steve. This is where I feel really bad. Like,
yeah.
I think you would like fucking regret marrying her if you were in his position.
Yeah, I mean, he's a goof or whatever, but like that, it's he's a charming goof now, and also too, like, he deserves a better girl than that.
Yeah, like
no offense, she's could be great for somebody else, but not for him.
Yeah, she, you know, and just the way she treats him this whole episode is like, I just can't.
Yeah, she just like wants to get away from him the whole time. Like,
yeah,
I didn't think if they only went out there for like 2 days, she would still be that miserable. You know what I
mean? So she does apologize for being an asshole, and he's like, you know what, it's fine, we're leaving in the morning. The honeymoon's over, and she's like, oh my god, tell me that again, and like that turns her off.
Poor Steve.
Steve.
That's the rest of his life right there.
Because we did forget to mention before she gets the Charlotte call, she does talk to Carrie in the middle of the woods. Like, basically, like you were saying, the cell phone reception is top notch.
I mean, I'm saying though, like, I don't know how far upstate New York or how far upstate in New York they were at, but I mean, I imagine like a few miles outside of the city, that reception would be mad choppy. So the fact that she was able to receive and make calls is kind of, and as I said, not only was she able to receive and make calls, but the phone battery was half dead. And I don't know if you remember cell phones back then. If it was half dead, it basically was useless. It was basically useless. Like, even in the city, you couldn't even use that shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, they should have been the sponsor, like AT&T or whatever. Like, they should have said whoever the responsible for that service was amazing. That shit was roaming like a motherfucker.
Yeah, oh my god, the bills.
Roaming bills. And roaming at that time, that was like $10 a second. What are you talking about?
Heaven forbid she tried to connect to the internet for 2 seconds.
It's over. It's $100 charge right there just for logging on.
My god, but that's where the should conversation comes from. She's like, I should want to be on my honeymoon and want to spend time with my husband, but I don't, because I'm a bitch, basically. Sorry. I know everybody's supposed to like Miranda more because she's like the strong, independent woman, but rewatching this, I was like, she's really unnecessarily mean to a lot of people. And I'm like, you can be a strong, independent lady and not be mean like Samantha.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, because like a lot of people will probably say like, well, if she was a guy, everybody would be okay with it. No, if she was a guy, she'd be a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Period.
Huge dick.
She'd be a dick. Like, if Steve was a woman, or the roles were reversed, and Steve was this asshole, treating Miranda like that, everybody would collectively say this guy is a dick. Yeah. Like, why is he with him? Like, what's that movie? Fucking oh god damn it! What's the movie with Paul Rudd and fucking, what's her name from Parks and Rec? Rosita Jones. What's the movie that they did where they were a couple?
Oh, I Love You, Man?
Yes. Right? Remember I can't think of his fucking name.
Jason Segel?
No, not Jason Segel.
I've only seen it one time.
Jamie Presley's husband in that fucking, what's his name? He was in Iron Man. He was Happy in Iron Man.
Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Favreau. Yeah, he was basically Miranda in that movie, and everybody was like, "This guy's a fucking dick."
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she would be if the roles were reversed. If Steve was, the man and being like this, you know what I mean? Yeah, she's a dick. Period. Because he even said it. She's like, "Oh, I'm an asshole." He's like, "Yeah, you're an asshole."
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah.
I just wouldn't like. Oh, what a miserable honeymoon! Like, who would want that?
It is refreshing to see a woman be an asshole, though, because sometimes they always make it seem like it's only men out there being assholes, like on TV. Yeah, always make it seem like it's like the guy being an asshole, but it's like, yeah, women can be assholes too. We don't call them that because it's like a guy swear word, but like, Yeah, y'all can be assholes. Y'all can be assholes, straight up.
And that's on equality.
Yeah. Not a good. It's not a great quality. It's
No. Part of achieving equity and
yeah.
equality.
Oh,
is...
equal. I said equality. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. It's my Michigan accent.
Yeah. Good old equality over there.
Equality, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, no, is everybody can be an asshole.
Oh, straight up. Yeah, for sure.
Man, woman, non-binary, gender conforming, straight, homosexual, so on and so forth, LGBTQIA plus, disabled, race, creed, everybody can be an asshole. Nothing accepts you from being an asshole.
Not really.
If you are one.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up.
And that's humanity, baby.
Yeah, baby. Wrapped up.
Well, let's get on to Samantha.
Boom.
So Samantha is at the doctor with Carrie, getting distracted by Carrie after the lumpectomy and getting the results. And so the good news is it's stage 1. The lumpectomy went really well, but they still want to do chemotherapy.
Real quick.
Yeah.
This was confusing to me, and I, as somebody that has been experienced with this personally. So does stage 1 mean that there's still cancer in you?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
I did.
She's like, I went straight to stage 4. I don't know what the fuck this stage 1 bullshit is.
Like,
she's like, I was in 4.
Stage 3/4 because with me, mine was like starting to tippy tap on some other organs, and that's what makes it stage 4, I guess.
I see.
Again, with a blood cancer, lymphoma, it's different, and like it's a manageability at stage 4. You're like, that's fucking bad, right? Like you immediately you're like, oh fuck. But that was like one of the first things the oncologist said. She was like, stage 4 is different in blood cancers than it is with like breast or lung or any other type of cancer. Okay. So cool that I had that instead. Okay. Good job. Okay. Good times. But they still want to do chemotherapy. I think it is sort of just like on the off chance that they didn't get everything from the lump, it's still in the blood somewhere, or a roaming cell is like gonna go rogue and betray you. So it's mostly preventative, but it's like, hey, you got to do it. Better safe than sorry. And Samantha asked the question that I think we all ask when we get diagnosed with anything is, why me? I definitely said that. I was like, the fuck did I do?
Yeah, shit. Yeah,
I kept insisting I was a Nazi in a previous life, and my mom said that was not funny and to stop making that joke.
Well, the guys who murdered Emmett Till definitely got the hardest forms of cancer. They got bone cancer. Yeah, both the guys, the 2 guys that were responsible for his death, they got bone cancer, which is like the roughest version of bone cancer. Or of cancer, period. Excuse me.
I don't typically wish cancer on other people.
I mean, but in this case, I think you're okay.
Hashtag no regrets that they got it.
Hashtag karma. I mean, yeah.
It's okay for me to say that because I'm a cancer patient.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like not only did they get cancer, they got the worst form of like the most painful, really the most painful, uncurable, like suffering version of it. It's like, for people to claim you're innocent, the universe kind of paid you back in the worst way. So maybe you weren't so innocent, my boy.
So yes, I maintain I did something bad in a past life, and my mom kept saying, "No, that's not possible. Stop saying that."
No, there's no way you did, because if you did something bad, you wouldn't have got through it.
Yes, there you go. Just some bad luck.
Yeah, it's just bad luck. Yeah, it's really all it was. Yeah.
Well, I have a theory, which I'll get to in a second. And so the doctor was like, "Well, it just sometimes it happens. You don't have a family history, but it could be diet, lifestyle." He's like, sometimes women who are older who don't have kids have it more often or at higher risk. And Samantha is super annoyed by that. She's like, "Oh, I see. So I brought this on myself."
Which he did not say.
He did not say that.
He did not. He didn't hint towards it. He went try. It was like no shade on his part.
Not at all.
He was just naming off the things that are possible.
Yeah.
And she flew off.
She was like, "Fuck you," and the stethoscope you wrote in on.
He was so confused. He was like, I'm just being a doctor. Like, you don't want me to be a doctor?
Yeah, like what the hell?
He's like, just a doctor. I didn't know that this was personal. What happened?
Yeah, it's crazy. How mad she gets like that. And I definitely had, like, well, did I do something? And, with breast cancer, it's often very genetic. Like you can get genetic testing for that. Sometimes it's just bad luck. I've been told, and I feel like I've read lymphoma is environmental, which
Uh-huh.
brings me to my Erin Brokovich theory of how
Okay.
I got it. Now, bear with me for at most 2 minutes. I'll try to make it fast. So,
Please. No, go for it.
I
Go for it.
as
Go for it.
as you may have guessed, we talk about I work in entertainment
Mm-hmm.
news and stuff like that. Very
Mm-hmm.
often I'm in older studios. Now, I have a
Mm-hmm.
friend who literally got diagnosed about 6 months before I did with almost the exact same type of lymphoma. She has a slightly different one. I had
Okay.
like lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, large diffuse B cell to be precise. And I be precise like that because in the past couple of years, there have been a handful of people who have announced their diagnosis. Jeff Bridges, Jane Fonda, Mark Hoppus from Blink 182 have all had lymphoma. I know for sure Mark Hoppus had the same type I did, which I think he said his mom did. They
Okay.
kind of say lymphoma is not genetic, but I have an aunt who also had it, so I'm like, okay, maybe we need to study it more. But regardless,
Mm.
so these actors have had it. Where I used to work, there was almost like a cancer cluster. Unfortunately, there was several people who had different types of cancer. Now it's
Interesting.
causations, correlation, whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
could. There's any number of reasons. Unfortunately, one of the senior producers, she did not survive. Other people did though. But we all work in this older studio building
Mm-hmm.
that was refurbished or renovated to house the offices that we had. And a lot of those people had also worked at a previous studio lot that was even older. People had joked how nasty the pipes were and the air was and all this, that, and the other thing. And I believe there was a younger guy who had like testicular cancer. I never met him. He made it, but he, you would think, oh, that's pretty young to get that.
Mm-hmm.
But and then obviously my friend, she also works in entertainment, has been in older studio buildings. So my theory, and then with all the actors who I just
Mm-hmm.
rattled off, possibly, Chadwick Boseman just
Mm-hmm.
passed and everything. My prevailing theory is that there is something in the building materials, maybe not asbestos, because I know that typically affects lungs more, but there's
Mm-hmm.
something in the building materials of these older studio buildings that are all over Hollywood that has a, you know,
I mean, it's
potentially cancer
possible. It's
cancer
possible
causing.
because, like, how many of these studios have actually been like renovated or rebuilt? Probably
Yeah.
zero. Like they, replaced things and put,
Mm-hmm.
updated them as far as equipment or like
Yeah.
access for equipment and stuff like that. But I mean, most of these studios, I mean, you could probably walk on the WB lot and still touch the same walls that like Buster Keaton touched.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
So that's my prevailing theory. Now, I always joke that I'm like, I want to get in there and get the like whatever, but the studio equivalent of like the Erin Brockovich frog. She finds the
right.
frog and the
Yeah, yeah.
puddle
I mean, it
somewhere.
might be. It
But
might
I
be some
stand
shit.
by it. If they say
Yeah.
it's environmental, and actually, my aunt who did it, she does not work in Hollywood, but she thinks she might have got it from Roundup. She used a lot of weed killer. She's an avid gardener and has a
Oh
beautiful
no,
backyard.
that actually
That's
there's
confirmed.
yeah, that's like that. I
Yeah,
remember seeing because on TV there was they how they do this like if you use this product you
yeah.
might be eligible. Like I saw that. Yeah, I remember at the this was like not too long ago. This was like a few like maybe 6 months or so ago. I was seeing that ad on TV at the
Mm-hmm.
gym when I was on the treadmill. It'd be like if you use Roundup at around this
Yeah.
time, blah blah blah. Like yeah. So
So
it's
that's
possible.
for her. That's certainly a possibility. For me, it's either the Hollywood studio thing or also my neighbors next door didn't use specifically Roundup, but they routinely got their lawn, like we called it chem lawn. I don't know if that was the
Mm.
actual product, but they got their lawn chem lawn on a routine basis with to make it look nice and tidy and green. And we were like, we're gonna let ours go to clover. We don't give a shit. Because we're not lawn people. Um
It's possible.
And so I played that, so even though it was like, don't play on the grass for a day. Okay, great. I didn't play on the grass for a day. I went next door the next day. What's the difference, really? Is
Right,
it that much
right,
sturdier? My mom used
right.
to joke. She's like, I thought the boys, it's two brothers I played with next door. She's like, I thought those boys were going to be infertile. I was like, well,
Yeah,
no, one of them's got 3 kids, so it's fine.
yep.
um, so that there's any number of reasons. I know I get the vibe every so often that because I'm overweight I caused my own cancer, but that's not the sole reason that you can get cancer by any means. That doesn't help, but it's not like I was juggling plutonium laced fried foods. So anyway, so I
Yeah,
stand by Samantha being frustrated with just the why me nature of it.
yeah,
And she does storm out of there. And I do love, she's like, you're lucky to have touched my breasts. It's a male doctor. Because she was like, I want a female doctor who's not going to judge me for this. Which is generally a good idea, is sort of finding a doctor you identify with. Not
yeah.
always a guarantee, but just there you
Right.
go.
I mean, I'm sure, but I mean, there could be something else that a female doctor might see or might have a
Yeah.
different opinion on, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because, you know, they just have, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know how to really say it without seeming somewhat sexist, but it's like they probably know the female body a little bit better than the men. I mean, you know?
Yeah, and in theory, might believe a woman more. There have been a lot of stories, especially for women of color
Mhm.
in the medical system, where doctors, often male,
Yeah.
um, don't take their concerns seriously.
Well, and it's also too because it's like it's hard to trust that because you have to get a second opinion because doctors are people too, and
Yeah,
especially if they run at a hospital or even having their own private practice, this could be another way of getting money into their private practice by saying, "Oh, you got to go do a round of chemo," and since our medical treatments aren't free, chemo costs a lot of money. I mean, I know you know this,
oh yeah,
so
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like that could
Shout
just
out to the state of California's Covered
right,
California and state
yeah,
disability programs that is
you know
able
what
to
I'm saying.
utilize. And remember, the Republicans are threatening to take away your Medicare and Medicaid, and if you're an older individual, that will impact you and make, should you, God forbid, get cancer or other problems and whatnot, make life really fucking hard for you.
And that's what I'm saying. So that's why I was saying for her, like she, getting a second opinion. She may have been upset about like what he said, but also it's just not a bad idea because again,
Yeah.
this because like I mean, how many stories have we heard where it's like doctors have recommended, you take this certain kind of medication, and you go to another doctor like, why are you on this? You didn't need this. This does
Mm-hmm.
nothing for you because they wanted to get money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or they're just, in all fairness to doctors, as much as I had a lot of medical frustrations last year with what my mom went through and everything,
Yeah,
they are generally overworked and
yeah.
rushed and whatnot.
That's also too. It's like kind of got to give them a break because it's like, dude, they went through 8 to 12 years of school. You think they remember all that shit? They remember all
Yeah.
that shit. There's no way our human brain can keep in that much knowledge and know every fucking thing unless you're just like some kind of savant, but like most
Yeah.
people aren't. So
Um, and so at the brunch where they're offering to watch Brady and everything like that, Samantha's talking about the, like, he basically said, because I didn't have kids, I caused my own cancer and that I'm a whore, and everyone's like, Carrie's like, that's not
that's
what he
not
said, I was
that's not,
there.
he's not- that's not even a fraction of what he
not
said.
even can't even paraphrase.
Right, yeah, not at all.
But shout out to Samantha for being honest when she, at the end of the brunch, where she's like, Miranda's like, I'm really thankful you guys, offered to take Brady, and Samantha's like, well, I wouldn't. Then besides, Smith is coming back to town, and she's like, and I always choose sex over babies, and that's why I have cancer.
I like that she read it back on herself. That's
Yeah,
really
but
that's
she
really
does
good.
mention that she's going to go to this, like, highly sought after, like, private practice, or a different private
Oncologist.
practice anyway,
Yeah.
oncologist. And so she goes there. She's trying to flex on the receptionist, like dropping names all over the place, and the receptionist is like, she is booked till March.
Yeah.
That is it. I have nothing
Yeah.
to offer you.
Well, because she was even mentions names of like names of people that know said doctor was
Yeah.
like, and that's still didn't even get the reception was like, I don't know what to tell you. There
Yeah.
is nothing until
Because
March.
and she heard that if you just wait around, sometimes you can drop in. And so
Yeah.
she decides to wait, and she sits next to this woman who is played by Julia Sweeney of SNL
That
alumna.
okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, why does her face? Why she looks so familiar? Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
And not so fun fact, but interesting nonetheless, she did a monologue performance because shortly after she left SNL, her brother was diagnosed with lymphoma, and she found out she had cancer around the same time. Now,
Jeez.
sadly, her brother did not survive, but she did, and she made the experiences into like a serious kind of one woman monologue comedy thing. And I know it got like an HBO special or something like that because
Oh
I would
wow.
see it on TV. I don't think I ever watched it because
Okay.
I was like
Okay.
too little, but um it's a nice piece of casting that she went through a very real life situation like that. But she's talking with Samantha, and she's like, I've been waiting here for like a couple days, and I still haven't gotten in. Samantha's like, well, nothing's stopping me. Don't you worry. And if we get in, obviously you're first. She's like, but she's like, I'm determined to get what I want. I said I'd get backstage and meet Mick Jagger once, and I did, and I blew him. And the woman's like, okay,
All right.
cool.
Cool.
And then Samantha is like, not to pry, but what kind of cancer do you have? And she's like, breast cancer. And she's like, and how many kids do you have? And she's like, oh, I don't have any. I'm a nun. Like a full-on Catholic nun. Now she's not. We should point out she's not wearing a habit or anything like that.
Right.
So that's why Samantha does not immediately know that she's a nun.
Yeah, but it's I mean, of all people for her to sit next to
Of all
the
the
lady who's
people,
never had a penis in her.
yeah, ever. Um, and Samantha's like, so you've never had sex? And she's like, nope. And so that kind of makes Samantha feel not exactly better, but just sort of like, well, hey, if a nun's getting breast cancer
Right.
too,
It's
like,
like, yeah. So yeah, obviously her ridiculous notion of that, like, oh, I'm such a whore, that's why I got cancer. Like,
yeah,
that's not like God smiting me. It's like, no, it's
yeah.
you just bad luck. That's really all it is.
But then I love this exchange because she asks, and then she's like, hey, do you know, are you allowed to masturbate? And the nun is like, I've never asked. And
Well, because like that's I mean, it's kind because like I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Okay, maybe this is just
yeah,
my personal experience, but it's like, but I feel like if you've never had sex, then you probably don't need to come.
take care of business.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like you have noticed that if you never had sex, I mean, okay, so I'm not a woman, so I don't know. Like it might be different for men because like we can like a man even if he never had sex and still have like a wet dream or like
Mm-hmm.
the right kind of friction could make him like pop off, and then
Yeah.
now you're masturbating your ass off. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's the case for
It's
women. You know
definitely
what I
not
mean?
quite the same. I actually it could best be described in an SNL sketch, like pre-taped video thing with Elizabeth Banks. They did a song called like First Got Horny to You, where it's like you first see like
Okay.
your first boy band person or like an actor in a movie, and you
Okay.
kind of, you hug a pillow a little too tight, you know,
Okay.
or
Okay.
wiggle around, and kind of you definitely you get those urges, but it's not quite the same. Like not like a stiff breeze will cause them, kind of a thing,
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. And so it's like, that's what
Takes
I
a
was
little
thinking.
more, I
So
guess, is what I'm
yeah, so I
trying
was
to
like,
say.
so yeah, so when she's like, have have you masturbated? It's like that probably wouldn't be something that's ever popped into her mind because if she's never had sex, then she's probably never had an orgasm, which usually masturbation is a result of having had an orgasm. You like want to
Mm-hmm.
feel that again,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
But I love that she's like, well, then she's just left thinking about if she's allowed to masturbate or not. She's like, well, thanks for getting my mind off cancer for like the first time in like a week. Holy crap. Like she's totally, you know,
Yeah.
blown away basically. Um, so later Samantha's out with Smith and she's encouraging him to stay at the party because of one of the worst aged lines. No one's fault in the show, but she's like, you should stay, Harvey Weinstein is here.
Oh shit!
different time. It was
I thought that I heard that. I was like,
different
she didn't say Harvey
time.
Weinstein. I know. Well, this was before.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say this is before
This
we knew he was a monster, but I was gonna say this is before the public
the public
knew
knew,
he was a
yeah.
monster. Everybody that was working with him knew, but
Everybody
like
knew.
they didn't. They don't. Nobody
Yeah.
said nothing because he was so powerful. I guess.
Incidentally, everyone should watch She Said. Excellent movie about the journalists who broke that reporting.
Oh,
And
cool.
a great insight into how that kind of journalism works, about getting sources and how they go about confirming things and talking with people and on the record, off the record. It's actually kind of educational, not in a boring way, but just in like, if you've ever kind of wondered, well, how do they get people to talk? How do they get people to, or what makes this printable? And as far as like journalism standards go, that's an excellent movie to watch. No, I'm sure there'll be people like, it's not, but I mean that from like a political sense, not an actual like journalist
right
contradicting it. But anyway, not the point. Just hilarious that line has aged like milk, as they say.
Oof, worse than milk. That should age like bread.
Oh, so Smith is like, no, I did all the parties in LA. I want to come home with you. And they're about to walk out to a bunch of paparazzi, and she's like, I'll leave first. It's fine. And he's like, something's off. What's been going on? You've been distant with sex, and you know what's happening. And so she confesses that she has cancer to him.
Yeah, that threw me off because I guess because he just got back in town, so I guess that's not like something she would call and tell him.
Yeah, that's generally, I think with a partner, that's something you want to tell them in person.
Yeah, but that was just wild to me that like, I was like, first I was like, wait, she didn't tell him, but like, also I just don't think that's just as you know what I mean, because you don't even really consider them like in a relationship per se still, so she wouldn't call and be like, hey babe, gotta tell you something.
Yeah. So back at the fancy oncologist's office, Samantha is still waiting. The nun arrives in the full habit just to try to see
right?
if she can flex a little.
Gangster, bro.
So funny.
I love it. Listen, any means necessary, right?
Yeah. And this receptionist is of course stonewalling her again because she's like, there's nothing I can do, blah blah. But then she flips through her tabloid mag that she has, and she sees the paparazzi picture of Samantha with Smith, and she's like, wait, are you like Smith's girlfriend? And she's like, I am. And
she says, I guess I am.
I guess I am.
I guess I am. Yeah. She still said, because that's why I was like,
that's right.
That's what kind of made me clear. I was like, oh yeah, she wouldn't tell her because she's still not really considering them like in a relationship.
Yeah.
Even though they are, like, especially after the last episode, which again, I don't know how the fuck they are after she fucked Richard. But it's still, hey, listen, not my place. You know what I'm saying? We got another Aiden on our hands, but it's not my place. Not my place.
Yeah.
Worse because, well, I don't know. Carrie did some pretty fucked shit too.
Yeah. This is the only time Smith has really screwed it up this way. Carrie kept doing it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Anyway.
But Smith is even like the receptionist like screen background, which is hilarious. Of the Absolute ad, by the way, I should point out.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
I'm like, not a very professional screensaver, but
you getting back there, flicking that beam.
Yeah, she's allowed to. She's not a nun.
Fair enough.
And Samantha's like, well, he's very loyal, and he would actually come by the office if I got an appointment. And, if you got her an appointment too, he might even give you a kiss. And the receptionist is like, I'll do it. I could do it. I could put you in early. The doctor doesn't love to do it, but it can be done. Squeezes her in, gets the nun in just before Samantha, and all is well.
Listen, first of all, Samantha is a real G because like she didn't have to get the other girl in. She could have easily just been like, oh, you got my appointment, cool, I'm out. But like the fact that she still just met this woman and was still like, you know what, I got you too.
See, Samantha's who everyone should want to be. She is the strong, independent person who's not an asshole like Miranda all the time.
Right.
Look, she's looking out for other people, doing the right thing, but she's still like a fucking boss. running her shit, got herself a hot dude, and taking care of everything. Like, it's crazy. Just as you mature and times change, you reevaluate the show and you realize that Samantha is the one. Samantha is
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, everybody wants to be a Carrie. Like, I think if you could find a way to blend like Charlotte and Samantha together, you'd have like an unstoppable force of a woman. I mean, it would just be like, she'd be too perfect. Like, no one could have her because she's too perfect.
No, it's too powerful.
She's too powerful. Don't even think about it.
Your scientists are so busy wondering if they could combine Samantha and Charlotte, they didn't stop to ask if they should.
That's what happens when you cross the streams. When you met Samantha and Charlotte together, the world implodes. It's too powerful.
Because everyone bags on Charlotte for being a prude, but like at the end of the day, she's not that prude. Like, she is
not that prude.
She's
not that prude, and she just like if you're looking for a wife, like that's I think most dudes would be like, I think that's the one. That's, most the type of girl. Yeah,
standard issue dudes would go for Charlotte for sure.
Yeah,
Carrie is like
standard issue. Every time I hear standard issue, I just think of like, yeah.
Sorry to bring you back there.
Standard issue. Mark 19. Anyway.
Carrie, Miranda is, too much of like an independent. She's hyper independent. I think it wouldn't matter, frankly, what gender she'd be with.
Yeah, like, yeah. No.
She's like hyper independent to a literal fault. Like,
yeah.
And like I say that as someone who's pretty hyper independent, like, doesn't like to ask for help and stuff like that. But I'm also not like a bitch to other people about it.
Right.
She's just straight up mean about it.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like when you're that much of an asshole, it's hard to even ask for help because it's like you probably know that you're a dick, and you probably know that most people are gonna be like, "No, I don't want to help you. No, thank you. I don't have time. No, thank you."
And then Carrie's too flighty and flaky and unreliable, and like, oh, it's supposed to be cute that she's like a quirky gal, but it's like that's actually so annoying to deal with in real life.
And unpredictable, which is definitely not something that's something you definitely don't want in a relationship. For sure, because it's like, what? How are you gonna fuck this up for us in some way?
Well, the show's not even over, but we still declare Samantha the winner.
Top cheat, for sure.
We've got some more episodes together, so come back next week, where you can find us, the show, on Instagram at Show Me What Podcast. That's the easiest spot to find us, and that'll take you to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all the great places you can see us online. And you can see me online on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Elizabeth Movies. And Chris, where can they see you?
You can find me on all socials medias at Christopher T. Mack on all the things.
And as always, Arlo Australia candles. This episode is coming out after Valentine's Day, but if you fucked up your Valentine's Day plans, buy a candle and make it up to your sweetheart. 10% off.
Buy two. If you can get her nothing, buy two, buy three. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they always show like filling an apartment with candles like as a romantic thing? Why not do that with our Australia candles and promo code Show Me Miss and save some money? Because you're gonna be spending out the wazoo trying to fill an apartment with candles, but because you done fucked up.
Facts.
Or if you didn't fuck up and you just want to buy a candle, you can do that too.
Yeah,
that's also Australia. True. Link is in the bio. And that's it for this week. We will see you guys next week.
Watch this.